Yeah, alright, okay. New topic for today. Hope you tune in to hear what I got to say because I'm going to talk about Nikola. Nikola is a company. I'm going to get into what's going on with the company in the news. Going to get into how the company has responded to these allegations. I'm going to get into the stock price of the company and the history of that in regards to different events that have happened recently. I'm going to give my opinion about, what I think about all this, what I think about this in terms of, what it means as far as doing business, what it means learning, so I can apply this to my own businesses, what it means from just, money perspective, like stocks, like understanding, buying companies, the kind of like risks that you take and how you really need to pay attention if you're going to be investing, any decent amount of money in this kind of thing. So starting off with my own personal experience, like, how I'm affected by what I'm about to talk about, like how it applies to the business that I've done. In this case, it's as far as investing myself into the company. So I invested into this company around July. And this was right after basically the price bottomed out. So I'm going to show the graph for the stock price a little later in this video. But basically, yeah, it was up at $90. And this is around the time I became aware of the company. And then I saw, I was like, well, I don't want to get into this company when it's such a high value, the stock price is so high. I feel like that's way too high. I'm going to wait for it to drop. So I waited for it to drop and I ended up getting in like right at the bottom at the time, which was at about somewhere between like $30 and $32, something like that. So basically, I knew about the company. I knew the main risk that I was taking when I got in was that Nikola did not actually have a product that they have completed and shown, like demonstrated to the public. So this is like pretty much speculative. All I knew about was Nikola had a production plant in Arizona. I had seen a few YouTube videos of some of the team members, like the CEO and a few other team members for the company, where they were, talking about their vision. And, I did some research really on what they were doing, and I was mainly seeing the most like the biggest advantage, like the biggest opportunity for this company was what they're doing with electric semi trucks, because they're doing a few different things which I'll also get into in a second. But what I really saw was like, if they are able to complete what they set out to accomplish with these self-driving electric semi trucks, I mean, that would just like, yeah, like that would not only like be good for the company as far as like making money, but have like a really huge impact on society that I would want to see personally, right? Make the roads a lot safer, a lot less pollution, probably, the supply chain will run faster, of course, way, way cheaper. It should make the price of goods go down. All kind of things, right? If they can make this work. So that's what I know about them. So yeah, I know it's speculative. I know that, hey, I'm getting in probably at a pretty good price. So if they turn out to actually like show that their products are good and they can follow through on what they're talking about, then this is a really good opportunity in my opinion. And of course, in the back of my mind too, I'm thinking like Tesla, like this could be the next Tesla. Like look at how much Tesla had in gains, all that kind of thing. So I'm getting into the really like the first thing I want to talk about is what is Nikola. Like they're a company which is named after Nikola Tesla, who, I mean, you can do more research on him, but he was basically an American who basically studied electricity and had visions of basically providing free electricity to people, among other things. So this company is kind of like a dedication to this person. So yeah, it's an American company. It basically makes different forms of zero emission vehicles, electric vehicles, and started in 2016. Yeah, like I was saying, the factory is in Phoenix, Arizona, where they're located. This is, it's all like research and development right now, pretty much. And yeah, that's basically like what the company is. So they have a few different concepts for products currently. They have a NTZ utility task vehicle, which is basically like a electric four-wheeler. The Nikola 1, which what I was talking about, is the electric semi-truck for hauling. And then you've got the Nikola Tray, which is a European version of the semi, because they have different roads out there, stuff like that. You got Nikola Reckless. It's like an off-road military grade vehicle. I mean, I would imagine, they would be looking to get some kind of like government contract for like military, something like that. I mean, if that worked out too, that would be make the company very profitable, in my opinion. And then one of the main things too, last but not least, is the Nikola Badger. This is basically a pickup truck, right? An electric pickup truck. In my opinion, like their model, it looks to me like better than the Tesla pickup truck. But anyway, okay, so now we're really getting into what's going on with this company, right? Like why it's in the news all of a sudden, like why it's having all this publicity. So what's going on really is some allegations. And starting out with this Hindenburg company is the company that made the allegations. And Hindenburg is basically a financial firm who has an angle in this that is not in a lot of the news reports, but they're basically a short-selling financial firm, or not a short-selling financial firm, but they're a financial firm that is short-selling the Nikola stock price, which means that they will make profit if the price goes down. And I don't know how long they've been shorting it for. They're an investment firm, so basically anything they're going to invest in, they're going to want to do their research on. So they did some research on this Nikola company, and they released what they found. And basically what they said was, that Nikola has purposely lied and committed fraud and misled investors. Basically, that Nikola is just a scam. They're scamming people for their money. And that that Nikola is claiming that their products work, but according to Heisenberg's research, that they're saying their products actually don't work. So really, this does not look good for Nikola, right? When all this information came out, it was like, okay, well, on one hand they're saying all this bad stuff about Nikola. On the other hand, this company that did this investigation and this research is really responsible for making a profit at the end of the day, and they make a profit if the price of Nikola's stock goes down. So that really had me looking more into it, because I'm like, okay, well, this is not an unbiased report. This person or people, whoever made this report, have something to gain from Nikola's failure. So I looked more into it, really. Well, I saw first, like, how is Nikola like responding to this? Are they playing it off? Are they saying that, this Heisenberg, they're just, trying to make money off our company going under? Are they saying all these things are false? No, all they did was they said they're going to agree to cooperate with any kind of investigation. They did not say at all that these allegations were false, right? So right there, it's like, that's kind of like the first thing that came out, like from like a response from Nikola. So it's like, okay, why are you guys not saying like right away that this is not true and that you can prove it's not true? So that doesn't make sense, right? Plus, they're coming back with like we're gonna come after you for like saying bad things about us type thing, which to me is like, that's kind of like a side of business that I'm not really trying to deal in. So I'd rather like keep it positive and like focus on the future on a positive light, and not like something like that, because it's always going to be mistakes, there's always going to be failures in business, but I feel like you just got to move on. And if someone's going to be like trying to point the finger and waste time like that and dwell in the past, then you know, that to me says that they would do that again in the future. How they handle this is probably how they're going to handle the next thing that happens, whatever that is. So anyway, yeah. So but then Nicholas is basically saying, you know, this Hindenburg is basically a short seller. They want to manipulate the stock price with this report. Still, like, they're not saying anything about, you know, any of this stuff being true or not. So then they finally come back and then they say, okay, well, because everyone's saying, like, to Nikola, like, hey, well, is this actually true though? Like, you know, are these guys right or wrong? So Nikola finally comes back and they're like, okay, well, all right, well, yeah, some of this stuff is not true, right? And it's like, hey, well, it's either, you know, it's either you guys are doing some fraud or no fraud, right? Like, so I'm like, okay, all right, like, this just looks worse and worse. And this is like, you know, within like a day, like within 24 hours of really when this first like bad news dropped about it. So by this time, by about, you know, 24 hours of me doing research and seeing how Nikola responded, that's when I was done. I was like, man, I don't trust this company anymore. So yeah, Nikola basically said, you know, they had never claimed that they used their own parts and technology in the vehicles and the products, the what they claimed were finished vehicles that they displayed in advertisements. So they're saying because we never, you know, said that any of our vehicles were actually like completely working, that we're not trying to mislead anybody, right? But if you see a commercial with a vehicle that's driving down the road, I mean, you would just assume it's working, right? It shouldn't have to say like, well, this vehicle actually doesn't work. Like, so anyways, what they did was they took a vehicle and they hauled it up to the top of like a mountain road, and then they just like, you know, let the vehicle coast down because it didn't run. So then they had, you know, another vehicle probably next to it, like filming it like it was actually, and they even like used the camera, adjusted the camera, so instead of like, you know, seeing a tilt like they were going downhill, it made it look like they were going flat. So, you know, not only are they misleading people in one way with like trying to make it seem like the vehicle runs when it doesn't run, but they're also like trying to throw off the curve of the angle that they're going down the decline. So I'm just looking at this like, okay, man, these guys are really some shady people, right? And I'm not trying to be in any kind of investments with any kind of shady people. Like, I'm trying to like really know, like, that's a huge thing, right? Like, it's one thing like the business and what they're doing and how they're making money, but another part of it is like the people behind it. So that's why it's like, for me, when I'm making investments, and really what I'm doing is trying to teach to you, anyone watching this video, you know, what I learn is what, when I go along, when I'm learning this stuff, when I'm becoming rich. Because, you know, a lot of people out here, really, they've already done it. Like, they've already, and they're telling, you know, people what they did like 2 years ago to get rich. But I'm really showing people like, you know, I'm already on my way. Like, I'm already like making a lot of steps. Like, I know I'm already like ahead of the majority of the people as far as like steps I've taken and seeds I've planted to set up to where I'm trying to get to be. But, you know, it's still not there yet. But I'm just showing people along the way what I'm doing, like the processes I'm taking, like the lessons I'm learning and the mistakes that I'm making. So okay, yeah, so I talked about, you know, what this company is, what this company does, like why it pertains to me, what I'm doing, like with my money, with my investments, really like what's been going on with it in the news and everything. So now I'm going to look at the stock price. I'm going to throw a picture of that up. And basically, yeah, so I'm looking at it from, you know, came out like, you could buy it a couple years ago and it was $10 for like a year or something like that, right? And then back in March of 2020, went up from, you know, like 10 all the way to about 80, which happened beginning of June, this is about like when it started, you know, becoming that big run up in price. Really like gave it a lot of publicity, and that's really, I think, how I found out about it, because it started making its way into financial news, stuff like that. So yeah, I saw that price and I was like, okay, well, you know, first thing is like, it would be stupid for me to buy this right now, right? Like after the price to run up like that, you know. But that's what a lot of the media was hoping to get people on, because these people in the media, that a lot of people that hype this stuff, right, that like try to tell you to buy this stuff when it's like just gone up from like $10 to like $80. They're gonna try to tell you to buy it now because they got money in it, and if it crashes and if you don't buy it, then their money goes down. So I mean, you just got to look at it really from like what people have to gain. That's why it's so important for me. I do my own research. Like, I'll listen to what other people have to say, but at the end of the day, I'm really going to go with my own conclusions and my own intuition. So I got into it really end of July, beginning of August. Kind of did a double bottom around like $30, bottomed out, and that's where I saw that. It was like, okay, this looks like a good opportunity now. It's come down from like $80 to about 30. I was hoping it was going to come down to 20, but after it double bottomed, I was like, okay, usually when something double bottoms like that, that means it's like it's kind of bottomed out, like it's not going to go down any farther. So yeah, that's when I picked it up. Right away it runs up to like almost 50. Didn't take any profit because I'm like, I'm just holding these long term. I'm not trading this. I'm just gonna have it as a long term thing, and I'm probably gonna put more money into it, what they would call like building a position over time. So I don't take any profit. Starts coming back down, comes back down again to like 35, and then that's when that's like the week that all the bad news came. But it all started with good news, because what happened in the beginning of that week was GM, General Motors, announced a partnership with Nikola, that they would be basically mass producing their products. This partnership is kind of, even looking at this partnership, like it's good news for Nikola in a way, but at the same time it's like, well, what is actually Nikola providing here? Because they're not producing their products, they're having someone else produce their products for them, and all they're really providing is like some technology that they say they have that no one really knows if it works. But this is important to what's going to happen, because it's important to know that GM made a deal with this company, and that brought the stock price up like something like 30-40% in a day. And still I didn't sell, because I'm like, this company looks great. This company looks like, long-term thing. If anything, I should buy more, but I'll maybe wait till it comes down a little bit or whatever. So yeah, like the next day is when this Hindenburg company dropped this information about Nikola's, a scam basically. So being Hindenburg, they probably had this information for a while, right? Looking at them and what their motivations are, they're going to make money if the stock price goes down. So, what is like really good for them is like they drop this right now, right after this good news comes out, and the stock had a huge price run up. And then they put this bad news out, hoping, they probably ahead of time, before they put the bad news out, put in their orders to like make money if the price goes down. So it's like, okay, now we put this news out, the price has a lot of room to go down because it just went up like 30% in a day. And what happens, it loses all the gains in like 2 days of the report coming out. So, this is, by this time, I realized, I've done my research again. Now that this new information is coming out, I believe even if some of this stuff isn't true, that enough of it is true for me to not want to have anything to do with this company, for me to not want to be invested in this company anymore. So I sold everything for like basically broke even. Like I probably made a couple dollars or something stupid, right? But basically broke even. So luckily, I didn't lose anything, but now the price is down here at like $19 today as I speak. It's like under 20. So if I had not been paying attention to this, if I had been investing in something and just like throwing that money in and just been like, okay, I'm just gonna forget about it for like 20 years, right? Depending on certain investments you could make, but like that might be okay. But in this case, like, no, I knew I had to pay attention to this, right? So I got out right before it dropped like another like 30%. So if I hadn't have sold that day, of course, I would have lost money, but that's from paying attention to it. So yeah, you know, I've learned a lot just from this situation. Like, not only will I be a little bit more, I mean, careful. Like, I try to be careful about like whatever companies I'm investing in. But like something like this, I mean, you can't. If somebody's doing fraud, like you don't really know until it gets uncovered. So you just have to be like careful. And a company like this, even more careful. Like this, if this was an Apple, like, am I really worried about like Apple having some huge fraud thing and like their whole company falling apart and like CEO resigning and running away from the situation? No, I don't really see that happening. I don't see that being like nearly even like a fraction of like the risk of a company like Nikola, a small company. But you know, of course, there's a risk to reward, because like Tesla, I mean, how much more room did they have to go up, right? I would think personally that Nikola would have more room to go up than Tesla. But either way, you know, that's really all I got to say about this for the day. So anyway, yeah, hope you got some value off of what I had to say. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already, because I'm coming through with new information steady. Go ahead and hit the like button, smash it up, as they say. Give thanks to everybody. Give thanks to the massive. Give thanks to the people watching. Trying to run up this money, trying to stack it to the ceiling. Trying to see everybody get it. So I'm trying to like teach everybody like how to get this money, and not in some like corrupt system where they're just going to take everything that you make and only pay you enough that you can't take a break. So that's why we got to get the money to make. But anyway, yeah, so subscribe if you haven't already. That's it for the day. I'm out.